Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Fireside Chat with GraphicsMonkey.
Hello, sir.
So, GraphicsMonkey doesn't yet know what the subject will be, so I guess we will surprise him. And
Absolutely no idea.
today's surprise topic, I wanted to ask you what you think about if in some years the hardware of the HTC Vive and the Oculus Rift and all the other devices will add smell.
Smell-o-vision.
Yeah, exactly. So any
Smell-o-vision.
software can just basically emit any odor, and they can basically simulate like the smell of anything you want in the environment. You think that will be popular?
There's an expression online which is cannot unsee, which applies to various things which people have seen on the internet. I really don't want to add smell onto that as well. On top of that, it's bad enough that we're going to be going wireless, that's definite. So we've got the battery packs. So we're going to have small chemical packs. And we can go outside and we can go in the garden. And I don't really want to be standing in the garden with a headset on, lots of battery packs and small bottles connected to... I'm going to look like a bomber.
Yeah, I mean...
Because you'd have to have all the chemicals with you. You wouldn't be able to transmit the smell because you need something on the other end to actually spray it. And it gets sticky enough inside the headset.
What do you think instead of the analog spraying? What if it's some kind of brain chip and it will just simulate whatever the brain needs to have simulated to smell, basically? Like cut the middleman, which is the nose, and just go straight to the whatever impression is in the brain.
Really, you can trick the brain using the placebo. It's kind of like the placebo effect. There's another word for it there, where if you see an apple pie and you can see the steam coming off of it, and you already know what the smell or the taste is, you kind of infer it anyway. When you invented particle system into any land, well, you didn't invent particles, but you put the smoke particles in, and I felt like I could smell the smoke. Admittedly, it did help that I was burning something in the garden at the time, but even afterwards, I can still get the smoky effect. So when I smoke a pipe here, my brain, to a degree, I get the memory of a smell rather than the smell. But no, smell-o-vision it's a 1950s thing. It's one of those things that sounds like a good idea, like a flying car or a hoverboard or the silver underpants and jumpsuits. We still haven't got silver jumpsuits that everyone's walking around in.
What if you needed? What if you needed some environment? What if you needed an environment where you mix a unforeseen smell, something where there's no connotation for the user, where they cannot recall from memory the smell, because maybe they want to, let's say I want to give you a tourist spot somewhere in India, and I want to communicate the smell in that Indian town to you, but you've never been to India, so I kind of cannot just rely on recalling old memories.
The smell of the Ganges. If it's not a recollected, it's a nice idea, but you'd have to have a huge amount of chemicals attached to yourself to actually let the smell out, or you'd have to have a brain implant just for smell. So nope, not going beyond the smelly stuff there.
What if the brain implant
to smell?
What if the brain implant just doubles and it will do full body haptics, and it will do anti-motion sickness, and maybe just even do the visual part, and we just close our eyes like they do in have you seen the Black Mirror episode with the whole Star Trek scenery where this guy, this VR developer, you seen that?
Virtual reality where you close your eyes. That's radio. Yeah, I've watched I absolutely love Charlie Brooker. Seen everything, all of his TV shows, even the ones that you've never even heard of. Everything apart from his radio show, because it's radio and
So I suppose it will go towards a brain chip, right? I mean,
yeah, but then you've got the problem of, is it just playing in your head, or are you actually taking part? It's kind of like a lucid dream. Are you actually controlling the dream, or are you just thinking you're controlling the dream within the dream? And it's very hard to tell because you were asleep at the time, so who cares? I've had this conversation with my kids since they were about 5 years old. Is a dream or blah? Yeah, the Black Mirror episodes got interesting connotations. But so then again, so is everything with Black Mirror and the little egg thing and the Christmas episode being the best one. That was just totally awesome. Creepy as well.
Yeah, I'm thinking, I suppose when it's so realistic that it's like indifferentiable from reality, then we get kind of weird sensations when we take off the headset, right? I mean, I'm not even sure we will
People
be
just
able to.
wouldn't.
Yeah, you would just stay because I guess VR is the same as reality, but you're invincible, right? And maybe you have $1 million to spend in VR, right? Because it's just virtual currency and you can buy everything you want. Why would you go back to this kind of meat space where you are the poor?
Yeah, you've still got to keep the body alive and do all that kind of stuff because you've got to pay your electric bill and all the rest. I suppose you could pay for that with adverts actually in the virtual reality itself. So you wouldn't technically, because they'd make all the products would be virtual.
Mm-hmm.
So that would cut down on most of consumerism because you wouldn't need a physical thing. So all the factories are going to be going downhill. Everyone will just be producing stuff for the virtual environment.
Right. So the only things you still need to do in the meat space would be, I guess, eating, right? Digesting, right? And all the things that are connected to that. You would have to breathe.
Yeah, the side effects.
The side effects. You would have to breathe. You would have to get some sunlight, I suppose.
I love the pragmatism of Germans. It's like, I suppose you'd have to breathe. I suppose you'll need sunlight. I suppose you want freedom.
You need some heater, right? You need to...
I suppose. Yeah, you need the basics, but that can all be paid for online anyway.
You need to have your house safe so that nobody robs you.
Food, well, you need security, but you've actually got to come out to eat and stuff like that. You wouldn't want to eat through a tube.
Well, why not? Why not simulate a super dinner in VR, and then you just get fed whatever you need in terms of nutrition, but you have this perfect 3-course Michelin dinner, and then you just get the tube to feed you actually. But you think you have a great deal up there. You have a great meal there.
Wow, that kind of sounds like McDonald's is at the moment. No, it's the eating experience and actually having life and outside and not a controlled environment is still going to be better than a virtual environment.
But what is the difference?
It's going to be nice having a virtual environment. But well, the thing is, if you've got if you're in a virtual environment where you can do all this amazing stuff, and then you go back to your real world where you can't, and you spend all the time in the virtual environment, then that becomes the norm. And if that becomes the norm, then you're going to be wanting to. The idea is virtual reality is to escape the norm to a degree, or at least control the environment. So you have that controlled environment. Now this becomes the norm, but you want something else because that's now the norm. So you've got reality, virtual, so you want virtual reality. So in virtual reality, you'll be kind of sitting inside an apartment, it's raining outside, Donald Trump is now the president of the world. So you go into your virtual reality where you're the king of the world, and then that gets boring, so you now go into a virtual reality which is very close to this reality. Except Donald Trump is just a game show host and not doing very well. So when it mirrors to the point of you have all the problems, you would have the wars, you would have the famine, you would tread into something smelly in the street and you'd get bills through the post, etc. That's when it's indistinguishable. When it has the same physics as reality.
Okay, so...
Smell-o-vision.
Well, if you want, we can also...
smell-o-vision come from?
If you want, we can also have like another short session on another topic. Some suggestion or something. Then we can just
deviate from the smelly vision, but
yeah, we can. I think we can.